I'm going to use a neural network called Inferkit to help me write the rest of this video's script. It's got a demo version that you can try right now. Link is in the description. So, see you back here in a few moments. Oh good, you're back! Anyway, the demo has multiple parameters that allow you to alter different aspects of the text generation. So I'll see you over at my workstation. Here we are. First option, you can choose how many characters that the app spits out each time you hit the generate button. I'll do 200 for now. Next, you can choose if you want certain words to appear in the script. I'll leave this blank. Here, you can choose if your prompt is interpreted as the start of the generated document. I'll turn this on so that the script can maintain some continuity. Opening up the advanced settings section, this option determines if the network is allowed to pause when it thinks your video is done. I'll check this on so that I can have a script with an actual ending, unlike my other videos. Nucleus sampling top P is a parameter that my brain is a little too smooth to comprehend, so I'll just read this last part here. Values closer to 0 will produce less variety and more repetition as the network only chooses the text that it thinks is most probable. Just gonna leave this at the default. Sampling temperature determines the likelihood of selecting unusual text, the creativity of the network. I'll leave this on default for now. Okay, so that's all set up. All that's left is to paste in the script and hit the generate button. Well, wait, I don't actually want to do that yet. Oh well, I guess I'll just type it in directly? Yeah, that's it. Alright, with the validation run completed, I'll go ahead and compile the script. Okay. This didn't really make a lot of sense. So let's see what else it generates. Nope. Can't seem to find it. Well, I'll just do a search. I'm going to see if you can do better. I've created a computer program that creates tweets like this. I think I'm going to call it #say itself. You're welcome. Okay, so you see what's going on there? I'm having this thing run on me to see if I'm actually human, not a machine. So far it's shown that my heart is beating at the proper rate and my lungs are pumping air out in the proper sequence. That's great. I'll just come back in a couple of months and check up on it. Wait. How did you do it? I made it myself, but I'm not actually the creator of this app. Let's push it to be a little more creative.
What do you want to change the parameters so you can generate nonsense with media as a text? Changing parameters. Inferkit automatically generates text sentences for your inputted text.
Okay. This is getting a little weird. I think it's starting to get the hang of how I write. I'm going to leave parameters as they are right now, except I'll change how much text the network generates. Let's try 500 characters. I guess this is making sense. Either that, or I'm now a controlling AI. I think I'm going to try increasing the sampling rate to the max as I go on with it. Let's just try random samples and see what comes out. I can't believe I used this old thing to write that. Just typing gibberish now, everything's so strange. Okay. Oh, what do I use as my text? What words are totally random? All taken from outside the uninterrupted realization deck? I'm through the first 125, there's only a few. Actually, it did use 500 characters. The network scripted that the sampling temperature should go to max, but I'll just bump it up halfway to 1.5. Here goes. $121 isn't allocated. Won't write this ground plan. Sword abilities 1 and less capable. Temperature, horny genes, fast you rapidly producing cupcakes quart, Einstein lock inline adjusted my coffee foam, wildly coloring splash ice, reckless negligence, can tear spont, inexperienced excellent attire overbloomed, swear spam perm advise pulse asymmetry inquiry extinguished no still cold autism break rope series consists exclusively 214 compared 610 impact essential whale version Cansons UN safe. Maybe we went a little too hard that time. Let's bring sampling temperature back down again. Just a touch. Now it's 1.875. So is something definitely coming out of that development? I am sensing several pretty close buttons, for lack of a better word. Let's see which one first. Now I'm sure that machine is definitely going to kill me. Yeah, that's definitely a format alert. Let's make another random sample. Okay, let's try changing inputted to outputted. I think that will produce something a little less random. Get inputted word entire something. Finally got out inputted line New York die? Die though. Entered 125103 added same thing 1058 insert exact but then modify whole open last expand Uger particularly adjective scan stocked exactly inserted entirely extreme last spelled senti moreover alias toy 1992 Jeffrey Street child chooses dingo mio typo after CF 30th generation carefully accompanied zealously eggs and yo cat levels even plus thesis poorly requite. So the script at this point continued to just devolve into nonsense, and then my camera died, so I decided to give it a shot the next day. All right. Let's try this again. I'm going to leave length at 500. I'm going to leave all the settings the way I had them. Bump this up just a touch this time. And I cleaned up the script a little bit. See how it works this time. If you made it this far, then thank you for taking the time to read this. The next time you go back, you'll see that my prose has never been better. Right now, it's somewhere between 32% and 37% less boring than my first video. I did a little more proofreading this time, but not much. It's pretty much a game of scale, really. I won't publish a version that's over 40% longer than the original, though. What fun would that be? Maybe if you have suggestions or requests, please hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, or at the very least, leave a comment below. The feature requests are the most interesting ones, and if you have any ideas, please feel free to drop them here too. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to our first monster. This being, for your pleasure, this is... It would appear from the data that we do have some monsters in my brain. I used to forget these at home all the time, like an early stage Alzheimer's patient. I would say something like, what's a... monster? And she would stop me mid-sentence and run in a circle, screeching, before proudly uttering the term again with a childlike glint in her eye, which I found particularly endearing. But no matter how many times I would ask, she would always end up wearing a deer in headlights expression and going silent. So I didn't ask again. The good news is that the dragon has been in my head for quite some time now. Now, it seems like that's the correct reaction. Wait, what's a movie? I don't think that this makes any sense either, but do any of my videos?
Nope.
There are a few in the gallery that start with something like, The Good Doctor. If I had a button I could press and change them, would that make them less unsettling? Right now, the monster is handling that one pretty well. When I mentioned something about having 20 voices on some of them, I saw him run into the other room. I guess he gets too lonely sometimes. No, listen, it's very difficult. I mean, try as I might. This is going to be an entirely new way of storytelling, so you have to... Trust me. Once you're done with this, you'll understand. It might be a new way of storytelling, but it's nothing new. Something feels off about this. Let me try that last option again. It would appear from the data that we have a complete failure of imagination going on here. If I press close, it will go back into my head. If I'm feeling a little reckless, I can force it to repeat the attempt and continue until I give up or the monster is tired of it. It might seem as if I'm trying to make it easier to communicate, but that's just not the case. If I can understand and he can hear, the only reason he would bother to respond is because it makes him happy. But that, of course, is the biggest lie of all. I wouldn't need to understand anything. I can make anything happen, and I have. Yes, we both know that the chasm is the doorway, and that when you keep going down the steps, you end up in... But you could reach out and touch it. If it moved to the right a few feet, I would just... pass right by. I could spin right to where I am now. There would be no limits. Everything would be fully realized. And I would make all the sounds and she wouldn't have to bother with it. I am the road. The car just drove right by the hole. Do you understand me? All of you should probably know better than to ever try this, but I suspect it has something to do with the enemies section of my intranet. I don't quite know how the problem got there. I mean, it's not hard to make a mess of it. I suppose. Perhaps a disgruntled former employee? Probably not, because they're all in that section. The code seems to go back as far as 2004, and for a while I had gotten rid of all the existing content and was just putting the latest revisions in. It was an ugly process, and it seemed to make sense. But I think one of the things that upset people was that they had to scroll back to see what I had done, and there was no way to skip back. They just keep on scrolling. Apparently they didn't want to miss anything. I've been experimenting with ways to rearrange it, but it seems that I can only rearrange the first few pages before it falls apart. What was the last change I made? It would appear that the final step of the contract, the act which ended the life of this self-aware avian enigma, I don't think there are any distinctions between the mind and body at that point. Why am I the last stage? I've read through a couple of the source texts. One of the common themes, and the one that seems to have lasted for centuries, is that of dream lives that the residents of the paradise end up having. The beings we call brains do not exist on a literal level. They are merely constructs of someone's mind brought to life. They are well-meaning, innocent creatures. It is interesting that the most common kind of creation appears to be the enigmas themselves. They are beings that are best defined as alive, yet utterly inscrutable. They live in a state of higher consciousness, where they are incapable of distinguishing between what is real and what is not. What you see in the mirror is not real, yet you have no reason to doubt that it is. It is just a manifestation of your own mind, but yet it is so real that you can't really see it, and even if you did, it would still be inscrutable. In the beginning, many of them were more easily manipulated. Their owners would often try to understand them by asking them what they really meant, but as time went on, they grew weary of being treated like tools. They didn't see why they should have to play by anyone else's rules, and with a strange kind of logic, most of them decided that they were happy just being themselves. It was, in part, more of a product of this desire than any conscious choice on their part. They start to wonder why the owner doesn't see them for who they really are, why they can't just be like everyone else. If they try to question what is real, or what is just their own way of thinking, they may be convinced that they are the best guides to the world. Some begin to argue that they know the right way and that anyone who disagrees with them is the problem. They start to take it upon themselves to spread their view, ignoring the fact that they are very easily outed as insane, and may also become the next test subject for our truly sick and twisted experiments. They argue that the owner of their brain could learn to understand them if they tried hard enough. And that's it. That's all I got. Let's see if I can keep going. Nope. Yep. So that's Inferkit. After shooting the previous video, I found out that I was not using the tool 100% correctly, as the network only uses 3,000 characters for the input prompt. But even used incorrectly, I had a lot of fun with it, and it was fun seeing what it did with my own mediocre script writing. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video this far, let me know with a like, comment, and or subscription. I upload a new video at least every 2 weeks, and thanks to my patrons for supporting this video.